And hello, Carly. Sorry, missed you to say hello.
Hey, Kelly.
How did we go with our lessons last week?
Good. Yeah.
For me, mine was believing I can betray. I believe everything can betray me. So I just kept a look and watch out on any time I felt like there was something that I was perceiving as a misstep from other people towards me, and just being more aware and reframing it immediately. So that was good. It was a good lesson in awareness.
Mm. Mine was you can wish for the impossible, but you can will only with God. And how that showed up for me, I initially thought I wasn't really getting it, but it's something that comes up for me a lot, is that I've got so much, I'm thinking so much about different things, and it's like, oh, I have to do that later, I have to do that later, I have to do that later. But this week I was very much like, even if I was in the middle of something, it's like a thought comes and I take some action straight away. And it actually is less interfering with my focus by doing that than saying I'll do it later. And then you've got all these do it laters just piling up in your head. This way it was just like, okay, that's done. I can get back to what I need to do. And yeah, that
Awesome.
went quite well.
Quite a cleansing feeling too, isn't it?
Yes.
Cleaning your head out. Mm.
Yes. Yes.
Who else wants to share?
Carly,
just,
thanks to you.
Carly, you go.
Okay. So I totally just misplaced my little diary where I write the things, but it was basically that my will is the same as God's will, and I felt more powerful with having that. And it was good. It meant that I'd said stuff that before I might have said that I was too shy to say, and yeah, so I've done a few things, pushed along a bit more than I would have. So,
Great.
Awesome.
Awesome. I can feel the power in that, Carly.
Yes, totally. Yeah.
Mine was follow the guidance of God fearlessly. And the funny thing is, I just relaxed. It sounds so funny because I didn't follow anything. I just relaxed. And then when I was doing sessions on people, I just, like I generally always do, just fearlessly followed the guidance of God.
Awesome.
That was a lovely session with you, Carly, last week too. Thank you for that.
Thank you. Well done.
I'm sorry I missed it.
Joe.
I believe I did the Holy Spirit never asks for sacrifice, but the ego always does. And I didn't really spend much time with it. I didn't really, I mean, if anything, it was just awareness that came. And Coralie, I think yours might have been, your will is as powerful as his because it is his.
yes.
And I kind of remember I had that one written down. I'm like, oh, Coralie picked that one.
Welcome, Jane.
Hi, Jane.
Good evening. Great to see everyone.
Now, Linda and Jane, neither of you were here last week, but did you have any lessons that you remember from the week before that's come through, or any?
Yes, mine has been for the last, because I think it's been about 3 weeks since I've seen you guys. But mine's been surrender for over a whole period of time, which has actually changed my whole life. And I'm actually moving in with my new man tomorrow. So all I've done is surrender. I've just surrendered everything. My car broke down yesterday, and so that's going to stay here in Adelaide. And I didn't even worry about it. I just had a voice come into my head saying, instead of moving in the end of the year, just move there this weekend. So I'm heading off there tomorrow. So it's kind of cool and kind of weird and a little bit anxious, if I'm honest. And because I'll be living in a house. Oh my God, it's going to be amazing. And my cat will be very happy.
Yes.
How long
she
have
will
you
be.
known each other?
Not that long. Probably about only about 7 weeks.
You can make it
And
work, Linda.
And it's
Yes, you
just
can.
right. It's just right. More right than I've ever
Yay.
felt in anything. And it all
Ooh,
comes down to surrender.
That's
Yes.
amazing. Congratulations.
Thank you.
beautiful. I just had a feeling that it was a short period of time.
Mm.
And I just wanted to hear that, to imagine the magic.
Mm.
The magic is definitely there, Jane. Thank you.
Mhm. Yeah,
Wonderful.
beautiful.
What about you, Jane? How have you been?
Good. I had an unusual situation that, you know, everything refers back to the Course in Miracles, in my opinion. Although it didn't spring from this, the word was gratitude. I was aware of the word in a group and the power of gratitude. And I had been suffering from intestinal, nervous, sad, ending of a relationship. Um, actually, my marriage, not just any relationship, and I was feeling so emotional, and I started writing about gratitude. And as I started to write, like everything started to open up. All of me, including my intestines, was just because I was like this, you
Yeah.
know. And I went to my soon to be ex-husband and sat with him and said, "Let me share with you." And he and I had like the best talk about for about 2 hours about gratitude. And again, there was a lack of ego. And there was, it was a holy instance. It was a holy time that I called in. And it continued, and it's still with me, and it will be with me. So it's coming here is just increasing. It's like that muscle. I feel like I'm here with the Course in Miracles, lifting the weights that are going to increase the beautiful muscle, the strength, but the great beauty in the strength. So I'm I'm grateful.
Well done, Jane.
Thanks, Jane.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It's very true. It's all about training, isn't it? And it's about consistency. And it's not going to, you're not going to have that muscle straight away. But if you're consistent with it and keep training, then yeah, we'll get there.
And yeah, as we gather, it's it's funny because I'll even say to people, well, for me here and Gary as well in the United States and Joe, I'll say it's Tuesday night. of course you know where I'm going to be. You know, I can't be anyplace else except for when it comes to my grandkids.
Yeah.
So just the importance of it and carving out the time.
Mm,
So thank you.
mm.
Thank you for sharing that, Jane, because with the word when you said your husband and then your digestive tract unwinding or the tension releasing, like I could feel the truth of your gratitude and how powerful it is. And so it was just so perfect to share that so that we
It's
could be a
funny saying
witness.
that, Callie, because as I was saying it, I was thinking of you. I don't know why. I just said Callie knows. I don't you know, it's like anyways. Thanks for speaking up.
Thank you, Jane.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah. Love you. Look.
Beautiful. Well, Joe's got a headache, so he's just going to sit in the dark and listen. But he's going to stick around as long as he can. And I'll share my screen and we can start reading. And we're up to number 6 of, what's it called? Pain and Confusion, this section. Gary, do you want to start us off?
Can you make it any bigger? If you can't, that's fine. It just seems to be very small on my screen. Let me make
Is that a
just
bit better?
let me make my screen bigger. I'll do it on my end.
Okay.
Don't you love technology? Hey?
Yes. So we are on T7X6.
That's it.
Okay. The Holy Spirit is perfectly trustworthy as you are. God himself trusts you, and therefore your trustworthiness is beyond question. It will always remain beyond question, however much you may question it. I said before that you are the will of God. His will is not an idle wish, and your identification with his will is not optional, since it is what you are. Sharing his will with me is not really open to choice, though it may seem to be. The whole separation lies in this error. The only way out of the error is to decide that you do not have to decide anything. Everything has been given you by God's decision. That is his will, and you cannot undo it. Hence, Lady Linda's move in with her man.
It's very interesting, this whole section.
I feel that's in line with my lesson as well this week, where, you know, if you have the inspiration, there's a reason for it. So don't talk yourself out of it. Just do it.
Yeah.
Because the more you think about it, the more excuses you can come up with. And
Yes. Totally. And is that the ego? Is that the ego doing that, creating those situations, that muddy waters in your mind?
the ego probably trying to protect you in its own way.
Well, if it's fear, I mean, we are, in my opinion, anyways, for me, if I have concerns, I will mitigate the concerns. I will rationalize them through, I'll work them through, or I'll just surrender it over and go with the flow. If the red flags are too great, then I will pause. But that's just me.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I must admit, sometimes I don't act on things because they don't feel right, and they resolve themselves later in a way that was may not needing to take action. Again, it's just
Yeah, 'cause
tapping in, I guess.
But it could be somebody else's concern as well that we've kind of taken on too.
Mm.
So, and we're trying to work through it when it's actually not our problem,
Mm.
or it's not going to benefit us in any way.
Mm. Any other thoughts on that? Or should we move to number 7?
I was just thinking that sort of goes with my follow the guidance of God week fearlessly, because I sort of had that time of just relaxing and not doing anything, like just waiting patiently, like in my relaxed state for the will of God to guide me. I wasn't really needing to do anything.
Mm. So being quiet so you can listen.
Yeah, and just waiting, like I was waiting for guidance. And then Lady Linda got hers. She heard hers in that version. So no, not everyone hears. But basically she's taking action from the will of higher self.
Yep.
I love this one line that says, the only way out of error is to decide that you do not have to decide anything. And I think in my life anyways, when I feel extremely compelled to do something, then I know that I'm in the will of God. Because if it's something I want for some for some quest for personal significance or money, or this could be a great investment or any of those things, it generally doesn't work out well. But when I follow what I know or what I at least sense or I feel really passionate about, then I can pretty much count that that is the direction that I need to, that's the path I need to walk down.
Yeah.
Like this whole year for me, I was reflecting because we're getting ready to launch the TMRT certification online so that I can start getting it out to more people. And I'm kind of freaked out about it. And then again, I'm not. But the whole thing was that I felt there was nothing else that I could do but to do that. Like I could not do that. I had to do it. And I think for most of us, we kind of feel this pull towards the direction we're supposed to go. Like I know, Veronica, when you were moving up to where you moved, and the horses and all of that was happening, that was like something that showed up. You felt a compulsion to be there, and you just rocked up and started getting involved. I think that that's how we follow God's will, is that direction that we're supposed to go. It feels like we're so compelled to do it, we just have to do it. Like Linda, it can be a risk to move into someone you've only known, 7 weeks. And it can also work. So the bottom line is, I think that you feel incredibly secure and knowledgeable in your choice to do what you're doing. And I think it's beautiful. And that's how I think that it's God's will, when it feels on most levels really accurate and really right for you. Is that what you're feeling?
Yes, yes. That, there's still that bit of trepidation, but I think that's just because when you live on your own for a while, I think it's been almost 6 years.
Gosh.
You get into your own groove, so you just. But we've talked about that. Him and I have talked about that, and we've talked about all sorts of different things. We've really got to know each other over the phone, so therefore. yeah, I guess that only thing is, and maybe it is just my ego stepping in the way, like, oh, well, you don't need anybody else. What are you doing? But I don't believe that life is for doing it on your own. If you can find that person and actually share those memories, those moments, those, the debates, the rugby, it's great. It's just makes it complete and whole.
Well, he's not
Yeah.
going to cramp your space, Linda, because you've been living in a tiny space for such a long time.
I actually and the summary for me of all of that was the next line, Gary. Everything has been given you by God's decision.
Yeah.
So and for me that comes back to that one word that I've been using over the last, God, it probably is more like 9 or 10 weeks, is surrender. It's a simple word, but it has its complicated depth to it as well. So yeah.
I actually love the last line where it says, when you just read that, Linda, everything has been given to you by God's decision, and that is his will, and you cannot undo it.
Yeah.
But I know in my life, when I follow that, it doesn't mean that I don't suffer. It doesn't mean that I don't have hardships. It doesn't
Correct.
mean that I don't have to face things I don't necessarily enjoy facing. But what it does mean is that there's some profound wisdom encased in wherever I'm being led, and that is the kernel to harvest.
Yep.
I think sometimes with that, it's God's decision, it's his will, and you cannot undo it. Sometimes I feel like, personally, but I see it as well, where people make a decision that's not in God's will, and it's such a struggle all the way through. I've done this. And then you come back to what you were supposed to do.
Yeah.
But you put yourself through the ringer because you didn't listen to yourself in the first place.
Yeah. And sometimes there's that lesson in that. Sometimes you've got to go the hard road to actually come back to that path, and you just go, well, God, I wasted the last 10 years of my life or whatever, but it's not actually a waste. There's a lot of things that have been learned out of that. I know for myself, that's created that, well, I know what I want in life. I know what I want along this path. And I've learned from all of those different things. So these are my choices from here on in, and I won't be happy until they've all been ticked off. So, and that's the point of where I am at the moment, is that all those boxes have been ticked. And the only, like I say, the only trepidation now is that living with somebody else after living on my own for so long, where I can do what I want to do in my own time. But I know that's not going to be a problem, because we've talked about that as well. And it's, you can still walk down your own path while holding hands of the person who's walking down their path. So
yeah, you can.
Quite beautiful.
You absolutely can.
Lovely. We ready for number 7?
Yes.
Who wants to read that? Jane?
Sure.
Thank you.
Let me see if I can make this a little bit larger. Just a little. Hold on here.
I just wanted to say about relationships, just because if they don't last forever, it doesn't mean they're a failure. That's
that's right.
part of your life journey.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well,
The
there seems
lessons
to be
that you're losing.
judgment about how long relationships should be.
So true. Yeah.
That's right.
Thanks for saying that, Coralie.
Yeah.
Anytime.
I needed to hear that.
Mm.
Mm. Okay.
You know,
Even the relinquishment of your false decision-making prerogative, which the ego guards so jealously, is not accomplished by your wish. It was accomplished for you by the will of God, who has not left you comfortless. His voice will teach you how to distinguish between pain and joy, and will lead you out of the confusion you have made. There is no confusion in the mind of the Son of God, whose will must be the will of the Father, because the Father's will is his Son.
Well, that's quite straightforward, isn't it? But it's so powerful too.
Mm.
Like it,
I love
I
this
love the
one
words.
line.
Oh,
Go ahead, Linda.
I was
I
just
mean,
going to say,
Jane.
his voice will teach you how to distinguish between pain and joy, and will lead you out of the confusion you have made.
That was the exact
What a
line
what
I
a
was going to
promise.
read.
Who are you? It like, whoa, it really gets you, doesn't it?
Well,
What a
there's
comfort.
something I think intrinsically important about that statement. When it says his voice will teach you how to distinguish between pain and joy and will lead you out of the confusion you have made. So the confusion, as I read this, seems like when we have experiences, we're sectioning off the experiences as either being painful or joyful. And I've been having this thought lately of how do I distinguish um, like what's I, I don't have quite have it figured out, but how I've laid it out in my head. How do I really distinguish between pain and joy? If pain brings awakening in its wake, is it really pain or is it part of the process of awakening? And if it's part of the process of awakening, why don't I just call it the beginning stage of awakening rather than pain? So if my mind is constantly sectioning off my life experiences in buckets of pain, joy, good, and bad, I think that is where the confusion comes from. Because if it's all this continuum of experience, and ultimately it's for our benefit to wake us up to that one clear fact of longing for God more than we long for anything else. And if that awakens the devotion in us, then is that bad?
Mhm.
And I'm not so sure I have enough information to be able to determine between pain and joy.
Mhm.
I know when I'm in pain, of course, and I know when I'm in joy, but I'm saying the greatest pain I've ever been in has had the greatest awakenings I've ever had.
Mm.
Mhm.
So was the pain really pain if it woke me up?
Well, I
well,
think
isn't that the? Sorry.
I was just going to say, isn't pain is really um a correction. It's just
Mm.
time for a correction. It's time for us to shift, because pain is not, it's not our normal state. It's not, it is not the desired um beautiful state that life should take on. But again, because of ego, we shut ourselves off, and so there's pain, and the pain
I
is just awakening.
I love what Joe wrote in the chat. which is, he said, that's why I call them experiences. And
Mm.
I love that because in that statement, linguistically, there's no judgment. There's no judgment of the experience. It's simply just calling them an experience.
Mm.
And that, I think, is very wise, Joe. Very wise.
I try to. I don't always succeed, but I like to think of pain as the messenger.
Mm.
It's just a
Yeah.
message, and it's giving us like an indication of where we're going, what is and isn't working. And I think we extend the period of pain when we ignore it and when we try to run away from it because it's instead of facing it.
It's knowing how to overcome that, though. It's about how to. So the running away part, I can absolutely identify with, totally identify with. So, and sometimes you need to do that. Sometimes you do need to run away from it in order to be able to see it a bit more clearly. If you run down that mountain and you're along the plain and you look back and look at the mountain and go, oh, okay, I get it now. So, you can't always see it if it's right in front of you either. So to run away sometimes can be a very positive move.
It's the distance creates the better perspective.
Mm.
Yeah.
Okay, do we move on to number 8?
So can I just ask one more thing about that paragraph? So his voice will teach you how to distinguish between pain and joy and will lead you out of the confusion you have made. So the confusion is just the ego stepping in and doing its thing.
Well, I think it's categorizing things in good and bad. It's seeing separation rather than the will of God playing itself out.
Yeah.
I mean,
I
if we
think
saw everything as the will of God, there would be no pain. There would be no pain at all.
We wouldn't learn, though. In my mind, you need to have that balance. So if you don't have the pain, how can you feel the joy?
Well, this is a world of duality, there's no doubt about it. But if we ascend above that, and the Course in Miracles, if we were living it to the fullest, it would be we would just be in the slipstream of God's will, and we wouldn't care what came next. We would just be that surrendered over.
I
That
see
would be a
the
pretty hard state to live
as
in.
the ego. It just that's how I've been seeing it just recently, is like if I'm confused about something, that's my ego chattering away. And to me, that's what all this says too.
Yeah.
Because you have made the confusion. That's not part of God.
And there's the whole trust thing as well, isn't it? Trusting that your first thought that's leading you down that particular path is the right one, the right thought, or the right way of doing it. So it's a whole trust in ourselves, the whole trust in, like, my car stuffed up yesterday, and it's going to cost a bit of money to fix it. So as I'm driving away from the workshop, I just had this. It was just this instant thought came into my mind of, okay, right, I'm not going to be able to garden anymore. I can't take my car to the gardens because I don't have a vehicle now. So I'm just going to move to the York Peninsula. I'll do it now instead of at the end of the year. And as I'm driving along, I started to shake. My mouth went dry. I'm trying to concentrate on the road. My car was playing up big time, so I'm trying to get that to at least a friend's place rather than home. And as the day went on, it became even more hideous in my mind, that thought. But I'd already talked to Paul and said, well, how do you feel about this? And he goes, oh, yes. So, but then my mind is overreacting. It's that whole overthinking process. Rather than just saying, okay, well, I've made the decision and I'm very happy with that, then all the other little bits and pieces come into it. So again, it's that surrender to that thought. You've had the thought. It hasn't come to you just because, it's come to you because that is the path that you need to follow.
Yeah.
Maybe.
You tied in
You
the
know-
previous paragraph talking about trust. God himself trusts you, and therefore your
Yep.
trustworthiness is beyond
Could
question.
I offer a bit of a reframe, Linda? Oh,
Yeah,
I'm
go
sorry,
for it.
Dee.
No, go. You go.
Mm.
You
Go,
kind
Gary,
of broke
my
up there, V. So
Yeah.
I interrupted. I couldn't know what you were doing. Sorry.
That's right.
I just a reframe, Linda. It's like the circumstances of your life actually speaks the loudest. You know, when your car breaks down and you recognize that you can't do your normal routine, when the man that you want to be with really welcomes an early arrival, when it feels right for you, and all those things just sort of line up, all
Yep.
the things kind of the doors close on the other things, that's when you know that
Yep.
that you are absolutely like a beacon's being shined down a road for you to go.
Absolutely.
And
And when I had that thought, it was like, well, this is what the universe is telling me. The universe is
yeah,
all for it. Just absolutely do it. But then you
yeah.
get the chatter in your head and you know, so it's calming that all down. And last night, that's what I was trying to do, just calm that all down. And today I feel really great about it. I'm getting the van all organized and then tomorrow I head off. So, you know, simple, keep it simple. That's the whole thing.
Yeah.
Yep.
Cool.
Does anyone have any questions about the last one?
Shall we do number 8? If my internet's unstable, it probably shouldn't be me.
Arlie, would you like to read, or Jane, or anybody else?
Yeah.
Joey and Kelly are indisposed.
Okay. Miracles are in accord with the will of God, whose will you do not know because you are confused about what you will. This means that you are confused about what you are. If you are God's will and do not accept his will, you are denying joy. The miracle is therefore a lesson in what joy is. Being a lesson in sharing, it is a lesson in love, which is joy. Every miracle is thus a lesson in truth, and by offering truth, you are learning the difference between pain and joy.
So where it says, if you are God's will and do not accept his will, you are denying joy. It's kind of, if you are God's will and do not accept his will, can't really get my head around that.
I just think, like, if we're using you as an example, Lady Linda, that you're like, so there's all this joy and the universe pointing you to it, and then you go, oh, but I'm not sure for whatever random reason, insert excuse here.
Mm.
Then that's the confusion, and that's the ego, and that's the not seeing what's in front of you, not seeing the joy, not making the most of the joy.
And complicating it. The
Yeah.
whole simple thing is a real I guess since the whole surrender thing, which has been going for weeks now, is the simple. So there's the surrender and simple. And if it's too hard, you don't do it. And it has to be simple. Because that's what life is meant to be about. And I'm pretty sure, even though I haven't read every paragraph or caught up with every paragraph, isn't that really what we're being told? Is life is simple?
I think so.
Rest up, Joe. I'm going to type his statement out, though. Faith in his direction
Requires no other.
Thank you, Joe. Yes, we do want to overcomplicate things, Linda. I agree with you. And, you know, and we can be completely unconscious about our choices by deciding to do what the mob is doing, having a conventional life. And I think that's the easy way out, but it's not necessarily bringing the joy. And that, in a way, appears simple as well, but it's not really. So just because what you're doing is not conventional, and, you know, you haven't known him for a certain amount of time and therefore blah, 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 you know, that's not necessarily, just because it's convention, it doesn't make it right.
Yeah, I agree.
I knew Robert for about 7 weeks, 7 weeks to 8 weeks. And we've been together close to 25 years.
Yeah. Thank you,
Before
Gary.
he moved in. So anything's possible, darling. It's just that there'll be some bumpy roads, and there'll be a lot of conversations. And, you know, the love goes in 3 phases. You know, it's like, it's where body fluids there's the glue that holds the relationship together, where sex is wonderful. And I never felt like this before, and isn't it fabulous? Then there's the power struggle, where the 2 egos face off and they learn how to blend together over time and forgive and love each other regardless. And then if you can make it through the power struggle, then there's the unconditional love phase, where you just accept the stinky feet and the farts at night, and everything's good for you.
And, you know, interestingly enough, because we talk on the phone every night for 3 or 4 hours, because he lives about 3 hours away from me, so he's on the York Peninsula. But he tries to come down every weekend when I'm here. But I was in Perth for 3 weeks, doing a garden that I'd designed, and so we've talked about all of that sort of stuff. Like we've really talked things through. Our conversations have become extremely deep, and neither one of us is scared to say what we're thinking. And I really appreciate that, and I really respect that. And no disrespect here, but I really respect that in a man, to be able to do that as well. So no airs and graces, nothing like that. It's all just about respect. And because he has self-respect, the respect side of it is just so easy to see. If he's talking to other people, or the way that he speaks with me, we don't talk to each other, we talk with each other, we speak with each other. So there's all those sorts of things, and that's why I was talking before too about simple. It's breaking it all down into that really simple thing of nobody wants hard anymore. Nobody wants to go through hard. There is still that balance, but I think the whole unconditional respect, love, contentment, that's all worth a lot. And it's taken me almost 60 years to get to that point. So it's very exciting being at this age, because it means that much more as well. The different things that you go through and experience, and either love or
And
hate, or
yes, and because of this, your age, of all of us that we're older, we can get to the place we would like to be at most because of our age. We could not have accomplished, a 7-week relationship at the age of 25. I don't think so.
Well, we
It's
were
like,
also, I know for myself, the ego was just there the whole time. And it was like, oh, well, look what I can do. Look how clever I am at this, blah, 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 blah. And even while I still think, when I do my artwork, and I still think, well, I'm really proud of that. I've achieved something really cool. I love the colors. I love the style, blah, blah, blah. That's not ego driven so much anymore. It's just about, intuitively allowing your pen to flow across the page, or and just pick a color to work with, or what have you. So it really is quite interesting, and it's a good point, Jane, because the ego's not as forward anymore. Obviously still there, but it's taken a few steps back, because it's not actually required. It's not needed there anymore. So, but I
we
guess
can
just to keep you in
dispense with
check.
it.
Yeah.
And the art is definitely about joy and creation, isn't it?
It is, and just getting out of your head.
Yeah.
We keep so many things in our head, and that can cause the confusion and the pain and the regret and all those sorts of things. But actually just picking up a pencil and having a bit of paper in front of you, and just intuitively allowing that pen or pencil to float across the page, it's an amazing, while you're thinking of certain things, it's a really good way of just putting, if you can't put it into words on paper. Yeah. Little art teacher that I am. Now there's the ego.
Oh no,
But
there's the truth.
Oh, yeah. No, I like to be the student, to be honest.
Well,
I
I
don't
think
know if we
we're
have
going
enough
to run out
time.
of time to do the next one, so I'm going to close the screen.
Okay, I
Oh
was going to
God,
say,
really?
we have enough time to do the last paragraph or the next paragraph.
Yes.
Well, we're into the next section, aren't we,
I
for the
know.
next one?
Yes. Cool. So that's a nice place to stop. I always love the last paragraph of any section.
Yeah.
So V, what did you pick for your thing to focus on this week?
The miracle is therefore a lesson in what joy is.
Yeah, nice.
I picked the Holy Spirit will always guide you truly.
Mm. Everyone's furiously writing.
I know.
Well,
I
mine
don't
is everything has been given you by God's decision.
Mm.
That's beautiful.
Mm.
Okay.
Carly?
Mine. I said before that you are the will of God. Continuing from last week's one.
Following on, yes. Little reminder. What have you got, Jane?
I have the will of God. It's just all about the will of God and being one with it, being one with the will of God.
As Linda
Well,
said, simple.
Simples.
tonight we'll know which direction democracy is going in the United States.
Oh, yes.
It is the election night tonight, so we will see
Yeah.
what the will of God is there.
Yeah.
Yes, we will, won't we?
Mm.
Whatever it is, it's going to
Very.
make a worldwide impact, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Yes.
Linda, did you share yours? Were you the first?
Sorry?
Did you share your lesson for the week?
Yes, I did. Yes.
All right.
Everything has been given you by God's decision.
Yes.
I really like that. It's just
Yeah,
really
that's a
cool.
good one.
Mm.
That's a really good one.
All right. So Linda will be in a new space next week.
I will. I will. And
Understood.
hopefully have moved toward finding some employment. Probably just I'll do some online admin. I'll just go onto Freelancer or something and see what I can do just to contribute until I know, until I can talk to the people in the town and suss out what's going on and maybe do more gardening again. I don't know. But yeah.
You're all
Well, it's a
surrendered
bit
now?
like soil therapy, Linda. You
What's
know,
that, sorry?
that it's a bit like soil therapy. You get really close to God when you're in the earth.
Oh, absolutely. It's such a great time to just be in your own thoughts in a good way.
Yeah, it's
It's
true.
really nice.
Can I ask a favor of everyone? Can we take 1 minute? And Corley, you were the impetus for me to ask this because you said the words something to the effect of when a relationship ends, it doesn't mean that it was a mistake, right? And I am ending my 23-year marriage, and I need some one-liners if you have any. I really do. It's like I need to write these on my on sticky notes and put them on my bathroom mirror. Um,
I really think
like
what
that.
Coralie said though encompasses it all. It's like
Okay.
it's not a mistake. I've had 3, excluding this current one, but I've had 3 major relationships in my life, and they're while they could be difficult, there was so much fun, laughter, all of those sorts of things in amongst it as well. And the last one ended like we're still friends, is what I'm trying to say. And I wouldn't have changed it for the world. So I think that it's the experiences, like Joe said, and you just, shit happens sometimes, but you've had that, you've enjoyed it, you look at the good times, even the bad times, they can still help you through it.
thank you. I'm the initiator of this, and my my husband, soon to be ex-husband, um, says it's too painful to be friends.
And look, I
And
had that with Bill as well, and but we're great friends now, so almost 6 years down the track. But
Thanks.
within
yeah,
within about a
within
year or
time,
so, it
yes.
was good. It was fine. So,
Yes.
and it's I guess it just comes down to being respectful of their feelings as well, because I was the initiator
Right.
too.
Right.
And knowing that they are actually a beautiful person, but something
Yes.
just happened where it couldn't continue. So, you know,
And
Yeah.
sometimes, Jane, the karma is over.
yeah,
The karma
yeah.
feels complete.
Mm,
And when it feels
That's what it
complete,
feels like.
yeah, when it feels complete, then you feel this natural pull to redefine the relationship. And that's something that it's not up to even the ego's decision. You just feel done and you feel complete with the person, and that there's something else on the horizon or not, but you do feel complete with the individual. And you know, at a really deep intrinsic level, you know. I've broken up
Yeah.
with perfectly good relationships because I knew that whoever I was with was not the one.
mm,
And it felt like the karma was complete. And there's no way I could really rationally explain that to someone else.
Yeah. See,
I
that's what I'm
absolutely knew
having
that
a
the karma
hard
was
time
done.
explaining.
Now,
mm,
sometimes you can't because it's not in their model of the world. But you know that if you do it with kindness and you do it with love and
yeah.
you're done, that it's all good. I mean, when I last saw my father, I left that experience and I looked at Robert and I said, I'll never see him again.
Mm,
And I didn't. I said the karma is complete, completely done. I feel
mm,
zero anything. And he died 6 months later. And literally, I know this is going to sound awful, but I haven't even been to his gravesite. I was in Australia training. He showed up in the training in his spirit form. I had 3 or 4 people tell me there's this little old man sitting in the corner watching you. And I'm like, I know, my dad died this morning. It's my dad. And
right.
and so I guess the thing is when it's done, it's done. You can love them and love them and love them, but when you feel complete, you know the karma's done. It's not about
Mm,
not loving them. It's about knowing that now your focus is needs to go to something else, needs to be on something else.
mm,
So have no guilt, my friend.
absolutely. I'll drink to that.
Thank you.
And my statement, thank you, Gary, for confirmation with all of that. My statement is living in the miracle.
Beautiful.
Beautiful.
Yes.
Living in the miracle.
Okay, we better finish it there. I hope that helped, Jane.
That was wonderful. Thank you. Thank you. Thank
We're
you.
all here for you,
And,
Jane. We're all here for you.
oh,
Okay.
love you all.
Have a good one, Jane.
Right.
And I want to acknowledge you for being courageous enough to do what
Yeah.
you're doing.
Yep,
Yes,
absolutely.
it feels like courage. Yes, courage is
It is.
the word. And I didn't have the courage a year ago or 4 years ago or 5 years ago,
Mm,
or the karma wasn't finished. So
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
thank you for that. Thank you
You're
all.
welcome.
Love you. Thank you,
Mm.
Coralie. You started the ball rolling.
Little troublemaker, Corley.
Yeah.
Okay, gang,
But
you
it's
have a
a
great night. I'll see you all
joyful.
later.
Gary, I
Love
got
you
my
guys.
certificate. I got my certificate in the mail.
Yoo-hoo.
Just let
Yay.
you know. I forgot to.
Yay. Takes forever. I mailed that like a month ago. It takes
Well, it
forever to get
arrived.
those.
I've just got
Shirley,
to receive it.
have you gotten yours?
No.
Really?
Mm.
Oh
longer to
my
New Zealand.
God.
I keep meaning to tell you and then I forget. But
Mm.
yeah, when I see it. No, I haven't.
Well,
Yeah,
yours
I
might be-
mailed it personally, so it's on its way, but it sure seems like it should have been there by now. Did it just
That's-
come today, Holly?
No, it came on Friday.
On
But
Friday.
instead of emailing you, I thought I'd show you it.
Mm.
Okay. So
Nice.
Carolee, if it isn't there in another week, let me know and I'll send off another one, I guess.
Was it
And
tracked?
then you can print. Say again?
Tracked. Was it
Yeah.
tracked?
Yeah,
Yes.
Tracking
I
number?
don't know. I'll have to check with Robert because he was there with me. I don't know if I put a tracker on it or not. But it was in, it was in
It was in
cardboard.
priority post.
Yeah, and it was priority mail. So
Yeah.
it should have got you.
Mm.
Oh,
And I went, woohoo, when I got
Maybe
it.
next week you can show us, Coralie.
what was that? Kate?
Next week you can show us your certificate. It'll arrive.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's all
Yeah,
hope.
Yeah.
it'll be there.
Thank
Okay,
you.
good night, everybody.
Love you
Bye-bye.
guys.